What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Now it's Independence Day, so what fireworks should the WWE expect for the 4th of July episode of Raw? Join us now as we look at the first Raw of July, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Big E doesn't need surgery, WWE's plans for Riddle at SummerSlam, Roman Reigns returns this week, bad news concerning Liv Morgan's title reign, Tony Khan open to working with WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our own wrestling channel, Incredible. Now, as always, we won't recap the matches, but just provide you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, badass babyface Bobby. A 3 cheers for Bobby Lashley as he seamlessly slid into his role as a babyface who is still a badass. Lashley's promo was red hot when he boasted that no one in the WWE or any promotion can stop them, and taunted Theory by telling Mr. Money in the Bank that he's welcome to take another trip to the Hurt Lock. The Almighty's at the top of his game, and we hope that he's on top of the WWE mountain again soon, as a world champion reign could be exciting. Number 2, a solid start. And the WWE wasted no time building Liv Morgan up following her incredible Money in the Bank win and successful cash-in against Ronda Rousey. Morgan has been a familiar face on Raw, so it makes sense to hype her win on the red brand while the WWE gets ready to send her to SmackDown. As we noted in our Money in the Bank recap and analysis, the WWE Universe is in love with Liv, and the promotion isn't holding back on capitalizing this. Liv's win over veteran Natalya was good, as was the rub she got from teaming with Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair and their post-match moment where they celebrated as the Red and Blue brand's women's champions. Let's hope they continue to take Liv seriously, as she could become one of the WWE's best homegrown stars in a long time. Sadly, as we'll explore in the news, that might not be the case though. Number 3, Gunther spoils Independence Day. It was good to see Gunther on Raw as IC champion, as it's a sign the WWE has a big push planned for the big man. It was also good to see him healing things up by destroying R-Truth, as the WWE favourite was just trying to celebrate Independence Day by dressing up as Uncle Sam. We were sad to see Truth, who hilariously confused the historic 4th of July with the Independence Day movie, but it could have been worse, as at least Truth didn't play Apollo Creed to Gunther's Drago from Rocky IV. Number 4, don't sleep on Angelo Dawkins. He's also incredible. Montez Ford is a fantastic performer with charisma and the muscles that make Mr. McMahon melt like a snow cone. Nevertheless, the WWE shouldn't sleep on Angelo Dawkins, as the other Street Profit member has a lot going on as well. While Dawkins isn't as big as Ford, he's exciting to watch and could be a strong uppercard star given the right push. With more rumors that Ford is headed for a singles run, we want to remind the WWE that it doesn't have to split the team up to capitalize on Ford's obvious talents. The New Day is a good example of how one or more members of a tag team can enjoy singles run without breaking them up. And number 5, a great finish, a great match. Our last night's no-holds-barred match between Asuka and Becky Lynch was a fantastic finish to a fun night of wrestling, and a reminder of what a fantastic chemistry the Empress of Tomorrow has with big-time Bex. Although this is a series that belongs on premium events, we're not complaining, as Asuka vs Becky has made Raw into destination television. None of the matches have disappointed, and even though this was their 4th fight on Raw, the feud hasn't worn out its welcome. But that was the good. What about the bad? Is number 1, Judgment Day just a joke? The Judgment Day have turned into a joke, as the WWE hasn't given the newly recognized group any purpose. They've turned them into losers and haven't explained why Finn Balor suddenly decided to join the group that had been beating him up for weeks. As weak as the Judgment Day's promos have been without Edge leading things, the WWE needs to give them time to explain themselves and bury Edge so that fans have a reason to cheer him when he eventually returns. Number 2, an uncertain alliance. What's next for Ciampa now that he's aligned with The Miz? A history has shown that alliances with The Miz never end well, as the A-lister inevitably turns on his partners. Does the WWE have any plans for Ciampa's partnership with him? Well, on paper, it's one of the oddest alliances in recent memory, but sometimes a clash of styles, well, not to be confused with the Styles Clash, can actually work. Now, we're not confident, as Ciampa has been wandering aimlessly since his main roster call-up, and we have a feeling his main role is going to be to do the JOB for Logan Paul once The Miz decides to make Logan's WWE career miserable. That was nothing downright ugly, as the Independence Day edition of the Red Brand was a fun holiday-themed episode that did more than fill time. SummerSlam isn't too far off, and the WWE is already building up for the biggest party of the summer, which should be an exciting show, especially with Theory holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. But what you guys think of Raw last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at great news for Big E. Atop of the news today is fantastic news concerning Big E, as the beloved New Day star tweeted an update to his injury. Update: my C1 isn't ossifying, forming bone quite yet. The current plan is to get more scans at the 1 year mark and see how it's progressing. The great news is I feel tremendous and surgery is off the table. Biggie suffered a fracture to his C1 and C6 vertebrae earlier this year, leading to questions about whether he'll return to wrestling. For now, most fans seem glad that Biggie's up and about and recovering from an injury that could have paralyzed or even taken his life. Next up, WWE SummerSlam plans for Riddle. Now, if you're wondering what WWE has planned for Riddle at SummerSlam after the Ultimate Bro came short during his attempt to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, well, by now you've already have an inkling based on Riddle's recent interactions with Seth Rollins, but if not, some comments from Dave Meltzer should clue you in. So it's probable that it'll be Riddle versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. That's the main event at most of the house shows too, going forward. Raw's Visionary is white hot following his feud with Cody Rhodes and subsequent beatdown on the American Nightmare the night after Rhodes defeated him at Hell in a Cell. Rollins and Riddle showed considerable chemistry when they clashed at Saturday's Money in the Bank show. Next up, Roman Reigns returns to SmackDown. Now you might want to mark your calendars as undisputed champion Roman Reigns is scheduled to make a rare appearance on SmackDown this Friday. Reigns is scheduled to defend the title against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam in a last man standing match which will likely have lots to say following Brock's big return. Former SmackDown Women's Champion Ronda Rousey is also scheduled for the show and will react to Liv Morgan's shocking SmackDown Women's Championship win at Money in the Bank. Could fans see Ronda turn heel over Liv's surprise Money in the Bank cash-in? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, things looking bad for Liv Morgan. Fans who cheered Liv Morgan's SmackDown Women's Champion win are likely going to want to skip our next news story, as Meltzer thinks Liv's title reign isn't going to last long. Meltzer mentioned, "The fans won't be happy with Liv losing the title at SummerSlam, but I don't think the idea is to go with Ronda as a heel because Charlotte Flair is going to be her opponent when she comes back." Brian Alvarez discussed potential scenarios concerning taking the title off Liv, noting the WWE doesn't want to turn Ronda Rousey heel. He then observed, "The smart thing for me is for Charlotte Flair to beat her if that's the way they want to go, because that will get that heat. You know, they'll hate Charlotte Flair for it, and then Ronda will chase Charlotte Flair for it." Now it's possible the WWE could have Flair return and put her in a triple threat match against Liv and Rousey with the SmackDown Women's Championship at stake. However, they should think twice before taking the belt off Morgan or risk spoiling what could be the most exciting women's title reign since Bianca Belair. There's sure to be plenty of backlash if Flair regains the Blue Brand's women's title as soon as she returns. Next up, Tony Khan open to working with WWE. Is there any chance that All Elite Wrestling will ever team up with WWE for a massive joint show? Well, fans are asking this, especially following AEW's recent collaboration with New Japan Pro Wrestling at their aptly named Forbidden Door pay-per-view. AEW President Tony Khan recently appeared on The Ringer's Masked Men show and discussed a future show with the WWE, saying, "I'm not sure if that's going to happen, AEW and WWE doing a joint show, but I would be open to talking about that type of thing. It's not crazy, but it's a bold prediction. A WWE and AEW Super Show would be licensed to print money if both promotions were able to work out the ever-tricky problem of who will go over whom. Perhaps the best approach would be to handle things with an all-star show akin to Survivor Series, where the champions of each promotion battle each other in non-title matches, while the undercard features bouts involving each promotion's best." And finally, Ric Flair back on WWE. And last but not least, Ric Flair is back in the WWE, at least in the opening. The then, now, together and forever, as Flair's familiar woo can be heard during the opening segment, and Nature Boy tweeted his thanks to WWE. "The most hurtful moment in my entire career was losing my spot. Thank you so much for giving me back my dignity and my life." What do you guys think of Slick Rick's return to the opening segment? Could he return to WWE? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.